This was originally released February 28, 2014, and it's honestly one of my favorite binging on comics that I've done. While it is still a very early episode with some loose editing, mediocre lighting, and not really a lot of gags, it was what really solidified a here's what the show is, and it's the best foot forward to say why you should all become a patron on my Patreon. So this show, and Honest Comic Trailers, and even my random comic vlogs, can reach at least these heights again. So without further ado, let's actually get to the show proper.
A comic book based off of a fighting game? Come on. I can't be the only one who still suffers from post Street Fighter stress disorder when it comes to these comics. And I honestly would have continued feeling these pains if it wasn't for getting this super awesome box. Yeah, I know it looks a little shoddy. I gave my sister the awesome statuette that came with it. The game is now with my brother since I don't have a PS3 anymore. But in the box also came a hard copy of Injustice #1. And I didn't read it. Actually, I handed it off to my gal Jello, but she read it. Not only that, she then read all of them. Currently working on getting the rest of the series in hardcover. Why is this important? Because I would never have given Injustice a second glance had it not been for her giving it such high marks. In fact, I'll admit that since she's new to the whole comics industry, I didn't give her much credibility as I went into this. I want to say right now that I was horribly wrong.
Superman, where are you now? When things go wrong somehow, the men of steel burn power, losing control by the hour. This is the time, this is the place, we look to the future.
Injustice shows the fall of Superman into the tyrant he is in the video game. But that's probably why people never picked up the comic. It is a tie-in comic. But at the same time, it's not. It takes the premise of an Elseworld and gives it 37 issues, including the annual, to flesh out and become a character study of not just Superman as he slips slowly into a dictatorial role, but of the Justice League and the DC Universe as a whole. So the plot of the whole series starts because Joker beat Superman in the most tragic way possible, and in doing so, gave Superman the drive to go on a crusade to stop war and killing and just bad overall without a governor. But unlike Superman 4, he backs up his statements with fists as well as dividing the superhero community, with some feeling that this new direction isn't justice, but simply evil masking itself. This isn't just about Superman falling to the dark side. As people say, this is a Justice League book through and through. We get to check out what Superman's mental snap does when Black Adam decides to defend Kahndaq's borders. See that Superman can't end war with a wave of his hand, showing the fundamentals of why people go to war. Or even when Aquaman, a man who can go toe-to-toe with Superman, doesn't bow, we see a distraught Superman try and force a non-lethal way to pacify Arthur before it leads to millions of deaths worldwide. Superman isn't the only character who drives the narrative. We see everyone get into some depth. Wonder Woman becomes a prominent force in Superman's life. Batman becomes the man standing on the other side of the line from Superman. Though not directly confrontational at first, we see that growth. But I'll talk about the characters in detail a little later. So, who worked on this thing? Tom Taylor pens the whole series. He's one of the heavy hitters on Dark Horse Comics' Star Wars licensed franchise before the Mouse took over. Since not many people are as big a fan of the Star Wars comics as I am, I think he'll probably be most well known by a lot of people for being the guy who took over for James Robinson on the Earth 2 comics run lately. But you know what? I probably best know him for being a pretty awesome dude. No, I don't really know him personally, save for some minor Facebook interaction, and he's even gotten me to check into a lot more Australian creators, and everyone should read his graphic novel series, The Deep. But I swear, I'm being as objective as possible here. I'm trying. As for the art, there's been a slew of artists for this series. Jeremy Rapak, Mike Miller, Bruno Redondo, Tom Derenick, David Yarden, and Neil Gouge. I'm sorry if I mispronounce any of those names. But honestly, while I was reading this, I never noticed any drastic changes in the art style. It keeps up great visuals that also mount to a awesome presentation. So, I'm sorry that I don't go deeper into each artist's run, but they all feel like a whole. Now, I'm not going to look too hard at the presentation when it comes to the art. The art is fantastic. The character design is pretty great, though they are mostly slightly altered New 52 designs. But honestly, the presentation of this book doesn't come from its art, though there is actually some great powerful scenes in this. I'll admit that each issue feels really short with large panels the way it is. It adds to a fast pace of several scenes and gives a cliffhanger a good amount of times and make you feel so. Let's just say that this series has made me blow my emotional load to the point that I get flashbacks to fables with fond memories. But let's be honest, you're still trying to figure out why this is different than any other Superman Goes Evil book. The biggest thing is that it doesn't focus on Superman alone. It actually covers the entire Justice League and fan favorite characters. Yes, I get a lot of people who will bring up that Tom Taylor had to work around the roster for the game, but he actually adds a lot of characters in the book. My personal favorite being Black Canary, though it does get toe-tappingly tragic at the very end. I think there's two issues in particular that I think present the strongest foot forward to really grasp why this works so well. The first, and my personal favorite issue of Year 1, is Injustice number 13. Flash is running down the world's straightest section of road, which just so happens to be in Australia. He's trying to outrun the memories of mere hours ago, when Superman and Wonder Woman were trying to disperse protesters. They were attacked by a man protecting the rights to protest. Superman and Wonder Woman broke him in a single moment, and the Flash didn't flinch. He was frozen in disbelief. As the crowd fled, so did Flash, dashing away without a word. But Batman, who by this time is out of the league, tells Flash where the young hero came from. And Flash goes on to discover that the youngster was trying to be the hero that the Justice League used to be, with Batman asking him how Mitchell must have felt in the moment when his idols broke him. So the Flash is running, not to think, but to stay faster than his thoughts. Another of note issue that really stands out is issue 19, where we see Billy Batson going to random people asking their opinion on the Justice League's recent actions. You get the full gamut of answers as you'd expect, though I particularly like the one who doesn't want to answer in case they're listening, or the Muslim woman who brings up that it always starts with the noblest of intentions. We get to see Billy's reason for asking these questions because the day before the Justice League went to take on Black Adam, as he retaliated on a city that launched missiles into his country, Kahndaq. Well, Black Adam is written near perfect, with there being no middle ground, and he will not stop taking out threats to his beloved country. So, Wonder Woman uses her lasso to make Black Adam say his power word. After saying Shazam, Wonder Woman smothers the ancient Teth Adam. And with answers from regular people, Billy asks the last person he can, the person with the wisdom of Solomon, Captain Marvel. For the most part, these two are the best personal issues for me because they don't deal directly with Superman and his own arc, but the effects of this new mentality that the Justice League has, and truly demonstrating the fallout that comes with this sort of story. that a lot of Elseworlds don't have the page numbers to do. These comics aren't all heavy-handed heaviness. In fact, Jello Justice's personal favorite issue has nothing to do directly with the whole super regime at all. Originally, this is where Jello was going to come in, give her rationale and everything on this, but she has a real job now, so sadly, you have to deal with me talking about issue 5. The plot is pretty simple, actually. Harley Quinn escapes the police, but gets captured by Green Arrow, and the issue is basically them interacting as he takes her to Arkham Asylum. We get to see a great dynamic between the two, and just some great character development that breaks up the dark drama that was the last issue, where Superman actually kills the Joker. To sum up, the presentation on the art is great, but it's the world and the presentation of the characters given completely that adds the weight and builds the world as not just some Elseworld where characters feel off or awkward or just wedged in for the fun of it. It really is presented to be, and I don't say this lightly, a modern classic that I feel in time will reach the heights of Kingdom Come or Red Sun. These characters aren't the new 52 versions of them. Yeah, the costuming is similar, but with the relationships between the characters being highlighted, you can tell that most definitely these are the iconic version of these characters being placed into these situations. Black Canary and Green Arrow are a couple. Superman loves Lois Lane. Batman can actually be wrong once in a while. It actually feels more like a divergent New Earth than a neutered Earth we've seen. For all in the know, yes, even though I defend DC on a daily basis, I'm still going to call it neutered Earth. But, okay, so let's talk about the characters after that. This book isn't about Superman being evil. I've said it before, and I will continue saying it. This book is about Superman giving in to the greater good. The Joker beat Superman by having Superman kill Lois Lane. But anyone who's read a lot of comics can say, but losing Lois is nothing new. Oh my gosh! We could look over at one of my other personal favorite Superman stories, Superman for Tomorrow, to see that without Lois to anchor his humanity, he does go a bit nuts. But wherein for Tomorrow he takes the blame for not being there when Lois and millions of other people vanish, even though it's obviously not his fault, here it truly is his fault. He killed Lois and, unfortunately, his unborn child. It's that tactile loss that makes him snap. He kills the Joker and then decides to become the dictator of peace, because he has the power to do all this. Yet, in amazing writing, Superman doesn't just turn all, let's kill everyone who disobeys us. He tries to force peace on everyone with the threat of death, which actually leads to a great confrontation between Aquaman, who doesn't take kindly to anyone trying to control the Atlanteans with violence. Instead of being a super douche and killing them, he actually lifts a city of Atlantis out of the ocean, has Hal put a bubble around it so they don't suffocate or dry out or whatever the hell happens to Atlanteans, and gives Arthur the ultimatum: peace or millions of civilians die. Yet it's not Superman's fault alone. Had the rest of the Justice League tried to confront Superman about his grief-stricken attitude, they could have changed things. But the largest factor that drove Superman deeper and deeper into the dark side of lawful good is that no one confronted him. As we've seen several times, he isn't 100% committed to his cause, if not for Wonder Woman. With several sites citing that Injustice is sexist because it makes Diana Prince into some Shakespearean villainess, the likes of which even Bella Swan could never get to. My personal opinion is that it's not only not sexist, but within her character entirely. See, The largest misconception of Wonder Woman is that she's a superhero in the same vein of Supergirl or Batwoman or Batman and Superman. But she's from a society based around being a warrior. When there's injustice, it's met with brutal law, not a revolving door of bureaucracy. However, what could be considered a bit sexist is that Wonder Woman does become a replacement for Lois Lane in Superman's life. But even then, Superman's very vulnerable, and Wonder Woman could either A. feel like he needs that physical comfort with someone who could take the whole post-funeral angry sex that could rip the tectonic plates asunder, or B. really want to be his queen, and queen of the world. Either way, it isn't a problem. Though, there also is the point that she does cut out a lot of the "I'm sorry for your loss" messages that are trying to reach Superman, which could clear a lot of things up. But on the other side of things, Batman spends the first half of this tale trying to talk Superman down. Actually, in the first couple issues, while Joker is taunting Batman that he finally won, Batman is talking up Superman about how he's stronger and his morals are unshakable. Before Superman flies in through the wall and shoves his hand through the Joker's chest. After that, Batman loses his faith in Superman, but continues to try talking to Superman and everyone around Superman to get a support group going. That doesn't go well, but honestly, the pivotal moment is when Superman and the Justice League are going to clean out Arkham Asylum with Robin, Damian Wayne if you're really interested, siding with them. During the scuffle, though, Damian actually kills Batman's first son, Dick Grayson, cementing Batman against Superman, and honestly, okay, I may or may not have been a little sad. If only because the art is kind of silly for it. Okay, there. You guys want true objectivism? The art's not that good. He lightly trips it. Just look at that. Yeah. Okay. But throughout the first few issues, we actually get some lighter fun, with Green Arrow taking Harley Quinn to Arkham, which ends pretty tragically in the long run. But, well, this is honestly the best version of Harley Quinn I've ever read or seen at all. I know it's blasphemy since Paul Dini's Harley is a fan favorite even if you've never read a comic, but come on. She has a mustache for no reason. As for Green Arrow later on, well...
Why, you little... I got you! No! No!
Oh, it's all just an act.
Stop! Stop! He's already dead.
But as I brought up in the presentation, every character comes off as, for lack of a better term, real. Reading through the entire year one, with some debatable choices made by the characters, each one is rich and handled with an unbridled daring that just hasn't really been in modern comics lately. Seriously. Are you asking me my verdict? I don't see anyone else around here, so you better be asking me about my verdict. If not, then what the hell are you doing here? But I'll give you a guess as to what my verdict is for this. Buy it? Yes. Fucking do it. Hell yeah. Get the trades? Even collect the single issues? Yeah. Damn straight do it. However, my verdict is something that tops my rating scale. This goes past just buying it in hard copy. Injustice is the first, and definitely going to be one of the few titles that gets my ultimate rating of collect it. Collect it means that you shouldn't just get the trades, but get the peripherals like the DC collectibles. Get the game. It's out on Steam, as well as on the PS4, Wii U, Xbox 360. Oh, and the PS Vita and PS4. But I'm just one guy who talks about comics, so you don't have to take my word for it. Get Injustice Gods Among Us Year 1 and find out why so many people are hopping on the bandwagon. Also, check out the last first issues to see what I thought of Injustice Year 2, Number 1. Now, with all that out of the way, I'm the Archivist, and I will see you soon. Do 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 do.